Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now that Black Ops 6 Season 1 is coming to an end, I think it's time for me to do a breakdown of my settings in-game, just because I feel like when the game first comes out, I was figuring out what the best thing is, and I didn't want to make too many videos about settings without finding out what I like the most, and also just figuring out what's the best settings to run. Now, I think I've fine-tuned most of my settings, and I think I figured out the best things. So we're going to start things off with the controller section, and basically I'm going to give you guys a rundown of all of my settings and what I would recommend if you're going to choose something else, what I would recommend that you choose. And I'll try to give you guys a breakdown and an explanation of why I chose what I chose for my settings. Towards the end of the video, we'll go into the graphics and interface tab and kind of give you guys a rundown of that as well. So nice and simple, real easy. We got horizontal and vertical sensitivity. I play 1.65. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be 7.7. Now, if you're on console, I don't know how you could put the decimal in here, because if you're on mouse and you move it, right, or if you're on like a controller and you move this left and right, you can't put 0.5. You literally have to come in here and manually type. So if you're on console, I'm actually not sure how you can do that. But yeah, I play 165 for horizontal, vertical. All of these presets and special things I have turned off. Controller vibration, I don't like. I actually have it turned off as well. Now, something really important here is dead zones. This is going to help you out a lot. For left stick max, I have 64, and left stick min, I have 0. This makes it super responsive with your left stick, which is your moving. So any kind of movement that you want to do, especially with omni movement in this game, you want to strafe left, strafe right. This is going to make it super instantaneous and super snappy. Also, shout out to Cinch Gaming, because having Hall effect sticks in my controller means I have 0 stick drift. So I'm able to have super low dead zones for left and right. Right stick, I have it on 2. I feel like any lower than 2 is just a little too fast, and it's hard to control in those kind of the longer range gunfights where you have to be super accurate, and any small movement of your stick is going to make a big difference in where your shot goes. I like 2. If you're used to playing on a slower sensitivity, I would bump this up to maybe 4 or even 5. I know a lot of pros still play with 5 on their right stick, especially if you use an AR a lot. If you're using like an assault rifle, or even if you're just sniping, I would stick to 5. If you're used to higher sensitivity, then putting it on 2 can make it more snappy. So that's why I have it on 2. I used to play on super high sensitivity, so that's the reasoning there. Right stick max, you still want this at 99 because you have more of a range to move your stick. I don't want to go into all the math of that. It could get pretty complicated. Now, before we get deeper into this video, let me tell you about today's video sponsor and the new sponsor of the channel, Cinch Gaming. They're a controller company that makes Hall effect sticks, hands down the best pro controller company on the market right now. Now, I just got one. I got mouse click triggers, mouse click buttons all over, 4 back buttons, and obviously they're remappable. Now, the coolest part about this, and the reason I decided to partner up with Cinch Gaming, is that they have Hall effect sticks. If you guys have been watching me for the past couple years, you'll know that I have literally went through hundreds of controllers I've bought and returned. And the reason for that is usually they can't last more than 2 weeks without stick drift. You don't know, when you play an FPS game, stick drift is a killer. It'll ruin your gameplay experience. Now, basically, when you press down on the sticks of your controller, traditional controllers and a lot of pro gaming controllers, there's going to be some plastic in there. Now, after a certain amount of time of wear and tear of moving the stick around, pushing it down and stuff like that, that plastic is going to wear down, and it causes stick drift, where your aim or your camera just moves by itself without you touching the sticks. What Cinch Gaming has done is they have a magnetic technology that's in there. It's called Hall effect sticks. These are basically guaranteed to never get stick drift for a lifetime unless you damage or break the controller itself. So it was a no-brainer for me. You get one controller, you don't need to replace it every year, every month, every 6 months. For me, it was like every 2 weeks, but I'm thrilled to have this. Also, they have PS5 and Xbox. If you're on console, you're good to go either way. I'm on PC, so I got the PS5 controller so I can overclock it and have that nice, sweet, low response time. Now, if you guys want to check them out, the link's going to be in the description, and you can use code DIB at checkout for 10% off and a way to support me. Now, let's get back into the video. But yeah, put this at 99. Left and right trigger, put this at 0. If you have trigger stops, then it doesn't really matter what this is on because it's going to be instantaneous. I have mouse click triggers, so it is instantaneous, but I still have it at 0 anyway, just in case there's like any kind of delay to get rid of that. Next thing, we're going to come over to aiming and go to aiming advanced settings. Click that. ADS transition timing, I like this to be at instant. Some people do like gradual, and you would have to kind of test this out for yourself to see what you like more. And this only applies if your custom sensitivity for low sense is anything besides 1. So if it's at 1.5 or 0.7 or anything like that, then that's where this ADS sensitivity transition timing applies. Now, aim response curve type, before we get down here to the sensitivity per zoom, my curve type is linear. I've played on this since MW3. I like it a lot more compared to dynamic. I feel like with dynamic, there's a lot of times where there's 2 people or 3 people in your crosshair and your aim sticks to just one of them and you can't, like, let's say you see 2 people, one of them is looking at you, the other guy's not looking at you, but your crosshair goes on the guy that's not looking at you. It's going to make it really hard for you to snap on to the person that you're actually trying to fire. So being able to pick targets sometimes goes a long way. If someone's looking at you, they're going to start shooting you. So you'd rather fight them first and then shoot the other guy in the back. So linear helps a lot with that. It also helps because sometimes with dynamic, I feel like I have no aim assist in certain areas where linear just feels more consistent for me. So that's why I use linear, and I've used it since MW3. I love it. For the curve slope scale, I tried this year. In MW3, I had this at 1.0. This year, I put it down to 0.5. I tested it in private match. It just feels a little better. This isn't going to make your aim assist like super strong or super weak. It doesn't really have anything to do with strength. It's just literally the slope of the line, right, for your stick. And it kind of makes it so your stick being moved responds differently in game. So you could try, honestly, I would try 1. I would shoot some bots with 1, maybe like 20 to 50 bots, and then put it to 0 and shoot 20 to 50. Put it at 0.5 and shoot 20 to 50 more bots, and then even go to like 0.7 and like 0.25, right? Just kind of go all over that until you find a sweet spot, until you see like, okay, it felt way more snappy or way more sticky when it was on this. For me, that number ended up being 0.5. I really think you guys should try this if you haven't tried it already. And then ADS sensitivity, I have 0.9 for low zoom, and then high zoom just because I like to snipe with like higher sensitivity. So I put these up higher, but yeah, that's what that is. So 0.9 and then 1.65 for my sensitivity. So that ends up being like 5 sensitivity when I'm aiming down. And that's mostly because I use an AR and I feel like I'm way more consistent ever since I switched to 0.9. So yeah, that's what we're running with. That is 0.9 for low zoom. Now let's back it up here. Obviously you want to make sure that your aim assist is turned on. This motion sensor stuff doesn't really matter if you're actually playing competitively. Tactical sprint assist is what you want here for movement. Sprint assist delay to 0. Make sure you have both of these turned on. Sprint assist sideways and backwards. Mantle assist, I don't like. I have it turned off. Same thing with crouch and corner slice. A lot of people thought that corner slicing was going to be a way to lean around corners and kind of like CS, or not CSGO, actually, Rainbow Six, where you kind of lean and you can only see their head. Well, if you don't know, if you have this turned on, a lot of times when you're leaning around a corner, the other player can see your whole body. It might feel like they can only see your head because you're leaning, but they could literally see your whole body. So for me, I just turned it off and I've been playing better ever since. But you guys could try having it on. It's kind of up to you. I use hybrid for my slide dive behavior. And automatic airborne mantle I have turned on. Sprint restore is a big one. This kind of helps it so that whenever you slide, you can go back into a sprint. Slide maintain sprint is also good for keeping that momentum. You know, continue to sprint after performing a slide. This helps if you want to stay fluid with your movement. I would definitely keep this on. Parachute, I don't play Warzone, so that's whatever. Mantle cancels reload. I might turn this off. I don't know. This is kind of one that just I've had on. I don't really care about it, but it's there. Motion advanced. I've actually never changed these. You want this on toggle. Auto move forward off. Auto door peek. This could be kind of cool if you like to peek doors a lot. You could turn this on and it'll automatically peek through a door for you. I'm gonna keep it off because sometimes I don't want to do that, and I'd rather just press square when I want to peek. But it is there. Tactical sprint. Single tap sprint is what you want to have, but some people might run single tap run. It's kind of the same thing, honestly, because you have tac sprint assist. So I don't think this actually does anything. Sprinting door bash does help a lot. I would definitely turn this on so you can just run through doors. You don't have to run into a door and then hit the button to open the door. You just fucking run through it. Vehicle advanced settings. I don't change any of these. This is all default. And then let's go to combat. ADS is hold. Weapon mounts doesn't really matter. Or at least I don't mount, so it's kind of useless for me. Combat advanced settings. And this is where you can kind of change some of your buttons. I have tap to interact. This is actually important. So tap to interact is good for me because I like to interact more. Sometimes I like to pick up weapons instead of reloading. So this makes it so when you want to reload, you have to hold your button to reload, and then when you want to interact, you just tap. And I do this a lot, opening doors, especially when I used to play Warzone a lot. It was handy with doors, but even in ranked play, just picking up weapons off the ground instead of reloading helps a lot. So that's why I have tap to interact. It kind of feels cracked. You pick up a gun real quick, you YY, and you're ready to shoot. Sprint cancels reload could be good, but sometimes I like to sprint while reloading at the same time. Like instead of tac sprinting, obviously, you just do a normal sprint while you reload, and then you go into a slide and you YY. So that feels really clean, so I'm going to keep this off. This you definitely want to keep off unless you're insane. And depleted ammo weapon switch, this is kind of up to you. This is kind of a personal preference. I like to keep it on, but it's up to you what you want to do with that. And that's everything under controller, bro. We went through that kind of quick. I hope it was a good explanation for you guys. Now let's go to graphics. This is for everyone on PC. Make sure you're running full screen exclusive. I'm just going to go through the basic things that you want to have if you want to play the game competitively and get the most out of it. If you want to make sure you get the most FPS possible, you're going to want a different video for that, just to make sure your NVIDIA or AMD drivers are set up correctly. That's going to be a big part of your settings rather than in-game. But in-game settings could help too. But yeah, we're going to make sure you have the lowest latency possible. If you're on NVIDIA, make sure you have reflex turned on. I like to play with on plus boost, but you could test this out on. And then if you try both. Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta make one more interruption in this video to let you guys know my merch is officially available. It is available to all subscribers. The link is at the top of the description. Man, this took me a long time to come up with the designs and pick the right quality and get everything just right. So when it gets in your hands, you guys are happy with it and you have a product that you're actually happy with. And a piece of each purchase is gonna go towards supporting me as well. So if you're on there, you see something you like and you grab it, you're also supporting me in the process of getting something cool for yourself. The link's in the description. Check that out. Now let's get back into the video and see which gives you most FPS and like the lowest latency. I feel like on plus boost feels better for me, so that's what I have it on. Make sure whenever there's a big update with the game, if you don't see your shaders loading right here on the top left, come over here to your graphics and display, hit restart shaders, hit restart, and then quit to desktop, open the game again, and you'll see the shaders loading in. You want to do this whenever there's a big update or whenever you update your graphics drivers. This is a big part of the game. If you don't do this, you're going to have stuttering issues, lagging issues, so many things that you just don't want, and it could all be prevented just by restarting your shaders. Every time there's a big update, so like when Season 2 comes out, After I update the game, if I load in and I don't see that my shaders are loading by themselves, then I'll come in here and I'll restart shaders preloading and restart my game. Something real simple. Now, I do play with G-Sync to get lower delay. I used to think that G-Sync increases your input delay, but it doesn't. And with that, I am on 180 hertz, as you can see here with my refresh rate. But I cap my FPS to 150 just because my PC can hit 150 more consistently on all the maps. If I could hit 180 more consistently, then I would probably cap it at 170. So I would recommend capping your FPS like 10 FPS under your hertz for your monitor. So if you have a 240 hertz monitor, I would cap it at like 230. And then play with G-Sync. I would definitely recommend turning on G-Sync or FreeSync, whatever you have with AMD. I don't know how AMD works, to be honest. If you want the lowest input delay as possible, I would recommend playing on 1080p. And so if you're on 1440, then you would bring this down to 75. Obviously, make sure your upscaling is on Fidelity FX CAS. And I put my sharpness to 100. That's just me. You want to make sure AMD frame generation is turned off. I used to have this on all the time, and then I realized it increases your input lag. So I recently turned this off. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, where I turned this off. Make sure this is off. You will get less frames with this off, but you also get better latency. And latency is king. You know, Call of Duty is about timing and milliseconds. You hear COD timing all the time. Those milliseconds make a big difference in the game. So make sure this is off. VRAM scale target, no matter how good your GPU is, I only have 8 gigabytes. Well, I have 7.8 actually. But even if you have 12 gigs, 16 gigs, or 24 gigs of VRAM, I would still recommend putting this on 70. I don't know why, but in this game, when you put it up to 90 or anything else, you get like stuttering issues. So I would definitely recommend 70. Make sure you're playing on Fidelity FX CAS. Again, this is because of latency. If you play on anything else, you're going to have higher latency. So Fidelity FX CAS is like what the CDL computers use. All the pros that are playing the game professionally, they use this because it has the lowest latency. Also, with Fidelity FX CAS, make sure you have variable rate shading turned on. This is very, very important. These two go hand in hand. If you have this on anything else for whatever reason, then you don't need this. But with Fidelity CAS, you definitely want variable rate shading. And that's about it. I mean, the rest of this is up to you. I would recommend just playing everything on very low and getting, you know, the best latency possible. Even if you're getting high FPS, there's going to be times where your FPS will dip for whatever reason because some texture or some shader is a certain way and your game wants to render it at a higher resolution. So I recently just turned all of this down to very low. Except for this, your texture filters could be on whatever. It doesn't really hurt your FPS unless you're on like a really old GPU. I have a 3070 and putting this on ultra. Like if I put this on low or ultra, it's not going to change my FPS at all. But putting it on ultra makes the game look a little bit better. So I'll take that because it doesn't hurt my FPS. Now coming over to the view, this is for everybody, not just people on PC. People on console can also, you can copy these settings. This preset doesn't really matter because if you turn it off or on, you could still come in here and change some things.
Hey, did you know that you can join this channel as a member? YouTube memberships are a way to support me and this channel to keep producing juicy quality content. All you have to do is click the join button next to the subscribe button, pick your tier, and fill out the payment info. Upon joining, you will instantly have access to special one-of-a-kind emojis that you can use in our live chat and YouTube comments. You also get a juice box as a badge of membership that will display in our live chats and YouTube comments as well, with special hangouts in our Discord that are members only. So what are you waiting for? Join the Dibsters Army as an official member today.
You don't really have to pay attention to this. My FOV, however, is 100. I play on ADS affected and weapon field of view wide. These three kind of go hand in hand, so you want to make sure you have them dialed in the way that you like. I would definitely recommend playing on wide for this game and field of view on 100. You want to make sure your weapon and world motion blur are both off. This is no matter who you are, no matter what you prefer. Trust me, you want these turned off. First person and third person camera movement, you definitely want on least. This just makes things, basically all 4 of these settings are going to make things super clear and crisp in game. When you're running around, when people are running across your screen, it's not going to be blurry. And it's going to be as crisp and clear as possible. And that's what you want. Now, inverted flashbang, I do have on just because I'd rather my screen flash black than white. But that's just your preference. Interface, I have all of my telemetry on because I'm a crackhead. And I like to see my GPU clocks and my VRAM usage. Just because I've done like so much tuning with my PC that I kind of like to see where everything's at. But that's not really something to copy. We're going to come to color customization. This is under readability and interface. You're going to go to color filter settings. I play on filter 2. And I put this on, it's on world. I'm going to put this on both. Yeah, I don't know why it's on world. But yeah, you want this on both. And then you want to turn up the intensity to 100. This just makes things more colorful in the game. And it's going to make things pop. I like it. You could try the other filters. They definitely look different, as you could see on the map. This one looks more red. This one kind of has like an orange, yellow. It's like orange, yellow, and red with filter 2. And that's the one that I like to use. And I think that's going to do it. Minimap shape, I love playing on square. I hate the circle one. I feel like square, you just see way more, and it takes up almost the same amount of size. Minimap rotation, I like to keep on. Radar off. And HUD bounds, this is very important. Make sure this is all the way in, and this one is all the way in. You don't want it up here. You want it in as low as possible. What this does is it's going to make your minimap, instead of your minimap sitting all the way on the top left, it'll sit closer to the middle of the screen. And when you take your eyes off the center of the screen to look at the map, your eyes don't have to move that far. You know, it's less distance for your eyes to travel. It makes a big difference in game because so many times in COD, you have to look at the minimap to see what's going on. And, you know, those milliseconds, like I was saying before, they make a big difference. So going from the center of the screen to the minimap and back and doing that so many times, having less distance there is going to help you out a lot. So if you don't have that brought in with the HUD bounds, I would definitely do that. HUD preset, I actually like to play on classic because it puts your trophy system and your equipment in the middle. But every time I do this and I restart my game, it goes back to standard. So I kind of gave up. But with visuals, I will say I like to scale my minimap to 115 and my icon scales to 115 as well. It makes the minimap a little bit bigger, but not too big where it takes up too much info. And I think that's going to do it. My audio is nothing special. I don't play with everything up, so I have gameplay off, effects to 100, cinematic 0, dialogue 20. And then, you know, this kind of controls all of it. So effects could be 100, but if this is at 5 or 4, then, you know, everything is at 4 because this is the master. And I usually put this to like 60 to 80 when I'm playing. If I'm in a tournament, I might put it to 100 so I could sound hoard, but you know, that's neither here or there. Headphone bass boost is the audio mix that I play on. This I kind of got from TikTok and Twitter, and I haven't changed it since. Dude, I fucking tweaked out. Oh my god. Okay, let's not. I'm sorry for that sound, chat. Or not chat, YouTube comments. But yeah, I got these from TikTok and Twitter. I don't know if they're the best things to play on, but this is what I have. If you guys want to copy it, it's the same for left and right. You could just screenshot that and copy that. Asymmetrical hearing compensation I have turned on, and enhanced headphone mode I also have turned on. And that's basically it, guys. That's pretty much where we're at. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys learned something and can take something away from this, and this helps your gameplay. And I'll see you guys in the next video, bro. All right? Peace.